You have his.
It was like
yeah,
that all night. In the summer,
Are
it
you
was
ready?
just worse because you'd have your windows open.
It's 7 p.m. on Monday, June 17th, 2024, and I will call this regular city council meeting to order. I do want to thank everyone joining this evening, and if you would join us in the flag salute, and if Councilmember Hall would lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So just want to note for the record that all council is present this evening. For staff, we have Planning Manager Stallnecker, Director Madden, Chief Hernandez, and City Clerk Tricia Summers. Moving on to citizen participation. Director Madden, would you grab the citizen participation list? Maybe lead the public hearing one. Thank you. Okay. Public hearing, okay. So we have no public comment this evening. You signed the wrong one? Okay. Okay, no problem. Ms. Whalen.
Jacqueline Whalen, Milton, Washington. Could we turn down the mic? My goodness. Couple of comments. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. You may remember back in July of 2022, I stood at the podium saying, gosh, please, let's do something about the fireworks. Here we are approaching July 2024. Nothing's coming up yet. Last year, South Sound 911's site, or phone-in center, crashed. It dropped a lot of calls, 4th of July. So to even say, gee, we're monitoring number of complaints, South Sound 911 isn't going to be an accurate indicator of that. I don't know if M80s are considered legal. I sure wish and they would be banned. I'd love to see all fireworks banned. And I do hope that it's something that council will work on as soon as possible, knowing that it takes a year before things actually take effect from your decision. Regarding traffic calming, really glad to see that coming along. Love to see Milton Way speed limit lowered, included in all that. Paint the speed limit on the roadway would be another traffic calming benefit. Of course, wider sidewalks would be helpful for citizen and pedestrian safety. I still tend to think traffic cameras really are code enforcement. That's law enforcement, not calming, but I guess everybody's got their ideas on a sliding scale. Love to see a roundabout, and this is kind of going into the tip on 15th and Milton Way. It's kind of a de facto roundabout. If you're stopped to make a turn, cars backing up will do their best to drive around. So would love to see that considered. And on the tip itself, Transportation Improvement Program, it would be nifty if there was a map with the segments of the roadways highlighted to show where each specific project was located. I think that would be helpful. It would be helpful to highlight the roadway segments being worked on and also to highlight the official walking route to the school, because I've just learned recently that's a very unique designation amongst sidewalks in the city. I'm a fan of not widening a roadway, as traffic calming shows. Narrower roads make for calmer roads. And not so much a transportation, well, it is transportation improvement. It would be wonderful if we could have a public safety discussion that included the profile of streets. Years ago, it came to the Planning Commission. This is like many years ago. And it was really fascinating to see if you did a cross-section of road, what the width of sidewalks were, the profiles for bicycles and such. I think it would be a valuable way to really enhance our understanding of what our multimodal ways of getting around the city can be and should be. So I'll leave it at that and say thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to item number 4, which is an executive session. So it is 7:05, and the city council will now go into executive session to evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review the performance of a public employee per RCW 42.30.1101G. However, subject to RCW 42.30.1404, discussion by a governing body of salaries, wages, and other conditions of employment to be generally applied within the agency shall occur in a meeting open to the public, and when a governing body elects to take final action, hiring, setting the salary for an individual employee or class of employees, or discharging or disciplining an employee, that action shall be taken in a meeting open to the public. I'm going to say that this meeting will last approximately 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and continue our meeting. So the executive session is concluded and adjourned at 7:15 PM. So moving on to additions and deletions. Council, I do have an addition this evening. It is going to be item 9D. It will be for the ratification of an interim finance director. You want more? You want more? I have one still, yeah. Okay. So moving on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
It has been moved by Councilmember Strader and seconded by Councilmember Hall to pass the consent agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. So moving on to our first item this evening, it's a presentation with Mountain View from their executive director, Jessie Holden. So I will let her come up to the podium and do her presentation.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, very helpful city staff. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. My name is Jessie Holden. I am the executive director at Mountain View Community Center, serving the FME community, physically residing in Edgewood. And so I just have a pretty short presentation for you today. I just kind of wanted to share a little bit about the community center. Most of you have probably engaged with us or heard of us in some capacity. So Mountain View Community Center, we opened up, we're a 10,000 square foot facility. We occupy the top half of that. We've celebrated 15 years, so we've been serving the community for over 15 years. We're on the campus of Mountain View Lutheran Church, which has been a staple in our FME community for, I think, close to 120 years. And they constructed the facility, and they are gracious landlords. So we call ourselves a faith-inspired organization. However, we have no requirements in our leadership, hiring practices, or service delivery for either specific religious affiliation or faith practice. So we really aim to be an inclusive community space with programs that serve the whole lifespan. So we share our building with the Edgewood Nourish Food Bank. So we are 3 separate nonprofit organizations with 3 separate governing boards that operate on that campus. And then our focus really is to work with the food bank, with the church, and then a wide variety of other community resources to, as you know, the FME community does not have a lot of physical community resources. So part of our mission is to really bring those resources that are in the larger Pierce County community to our community and to our neighbors. So quickly, our vision is, we've kind of simplified the process here, is really a community in which all experience belonging and wellness. Our mission and how we develop our programs is to develop successful kids, hopeful families, and active seniors. And then we take that mission statement and have developed what we call areas of focus. So we've taken each of those categories of the demographic of who we're serving and kind of breaking down into how a program would be viable at the center is fitting into one of those areas of focus. And so as you can see, this is just a method that we use to kind of be strategic about as we grow programming or as we vet programs that might be of interest to us or interest to the community. We use this as our vetting tool. So our programs, we do a variety of programming for kids, focusing particularly on the programs that serve Milton residents is our youth hunger programs. So our Kid Power Pack program serves the whole FME community. So we serve the full Fife School District as well as the schools in Edgewood and Walker High. That's 10 schools total. Our average was 280, however, it's climbing up over 300 now. So that's 300 kids a week that we are serving with supplemental or weekend food packs. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we pivot that for the summer. 76% of those packs go to kids in the Fife School District. So I do not have that broken down by city or by school, but the need in the Fife School District is high, and we've been able to continue to meet that need. Super Families is another program. So we have found little ways to support the Milton, Fife, Edgewood ECAP Head Start program. That's at Mission Woods Presbyterian. So one of those ways is every beginning of the school year, each one of those families gets a crock pot, and then we do a weekly family meal soup kit. And so it's just a way to kind of get in the door to be able to foster relationships with those families. We also do, you'll see in a little bit, we find sponsors for all of those 35 to 40 families every year for the holidays. And then we just have a variety of different activities. The back to school event, I'll talk about a little bit more. But a lot of different ways. We have a tutoring program that specifically serves one school right now. It's Mountain View Elementary, our neighbors. It's one-on-one tutoring. So every tutor we receive is one more student we can serve. So it's a great program, and we'd love to continue to develop that as more volunteer tutors can be secured. Our Hopeful Families programs, the big one I want to highlight tonight is the Good Neighbor program. This is a navigation and financial support for basic needs program that we have ran since the onset of COVID, so a little over 4 years. Since that time, we've supported 205 families with housing support and navigated 335 families to additional resources. The unfortunate news with this is that funding for this program, as you all know, COVID funding, has dried up. And so this program is officially closing as far as the fund at the end of June. So about 20% of those families were from Milton, of the 205 that we funded. And so it was a great program that served a need in the onset of COVID. We were able to keep it going for 4 years. We will continue to keep the navigational services available. We have a staff member on site that can provide that, so community members can continue to refer individuals or families that need access to resources to us. And I've mentioned this when I present to all the local cities that we do have the structure, we do have good bones. So if financial resources were ever afforded to us to continue this program, we would certainly consider it. Also wanted to mention we do a weekly community dinner on Thursdays from 5:30 to 6:30. So we serve about 100 meals every week. About 50% of that are families from the food bank, but we also have local seniors, families that are busy with sports schedules and don't want to cook. So we really present it as a community meal. So come and meet your neighbors and enjoy dinner on us. And that's ran almost exclusively through volunteers. So City of Milton staff and council, I think, have been there multiple times, either cooking or serving. So thank you. Yeah, I think I've hit most of those there. And then our active seniors programs, we have senior programs during the day. They have the building from about 9 a.m. to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we do a variety. Our largest program is our fitness program. We have 5 classes that we offer every week. Those are free to the community. We do a weekly lunch on Tuesdays. And then a cool program, Opening Minds Through Art, is a art program specifically for individuals with dementia or other cognitive impairments. And so if you've seen the research, music is a way to really unlock the brain as well as art. And so these programs are geared specifically for those that are living with dementia and on Wednesdays. crafting group. We have a cute little senior garden if you ever drive by us off 122nd, which was donated by the Puyallup tribe. So goal is just, as the city of Milton as well, just to keep our seniors active and independent and moving. I think we don't have sound, so I'm going to skip this, just a quick little video. So just quickly wanted to go over some upcoming opportunities that are coming up this summer. So I had mentioned the supplemental food packs. So we just take those packs. They're pretty much the same entity. It's 2 breakfast, 2 lunch, and 5 snacks. And we distribute those packs on that schedule. So we're in Milton on Wednesdays at Faith Family Church. Each of those Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are distribution. The idea is families can take 2 packs per kid, so they don't need to go around to the 3 sites. We would ideally love them to pick 1 site. But I will say that this, there's a new EBT program for summer for youth that families can sign up for. So summer meals have really kind of dried up in Pierce County because of that, which is great. It's a really great resource. But we have opted to continue to run this program. And so we'll see if the need escalates or stays the same with just a lack of other resources out in the community. But this is a great opportunity that we continue to serve youth through the summer. We do 2 weeks of free summer day camp, and we do a special registration period for kids that are participate in the food pack program, as well as the rental and utility assistance program, because we know that not every kid can afford to go to summer camp. So we open up registration first to those kids. We serve about 100 kids every summer, so they pick between 1 or 2 weeks. Camp's full, but we definitely could still use volunteers. It's completely volunteer run outside of our awesome staff that's making all the activities. And so we're still looking for a few camp counselors, anybody 14 or up. So if you know any teens, it's a $100 stipend. So it's just a little bit in there, and they can count it for their volunteer hours that they might need for their graduation. And then also adults, activity coordinators, it's a 3-hour commitment, like 9 to noon. Mayor Shanna has done it multiple times. And so it's just a great opportunity to support local kids. So it's a great opportunity to volunteer. And then we will be back at Milton Days. Milton Days will be one of our distribution sites once again for the annual backpack giveaway. So we'll be happy to sharing our table with the library, and we'll be passing out backpacks. We have 3 different sites on that day, each one in each city, and we distributed about 700 or so backpacks on that day. So thank you for welcoming us back, and we'll be happy to be there at Milton Days. And then just really quickly, volunteering is the lifeblood of our organization. Our mission and goal, how we strategize is our staff is there to kind of provide the infrastructure and the marketing, and our neighbors, we want our neighbors to be empowered to use their gifts and their talents to support their neighbors. And so volunteering is a really essential part of being involved in the community center. So for individuals and families, so many of our activities are kid-friendly. That's one of our focuses, is we want our youth to grow up with the value of service. So think of us with your families or with as an individual. There's tons of opportunities, and I'll share kind of what that site looks like in a minute. Groups, as I mentioned, there's City of Edgewood, but City of Milton has showed up often to support our Seeds of Change dinners on Thursdays. And so again, this is a great opportunity, team building opportunity for groups, book clubs, church groups, knitting groups, whatever you could come up with to serve the community and have fun together. And then board service, we have our own governing board, and at this time we're pretty heavy with Edgewood residents, and I would love to include some representation from Milton. So This is an opportunity to support local community and focus on the strategic direction of the organization in the next years to come. So if anybody is interested in more information, I am here. So we have a volunteer platform that you can access from our website. It's right when you go to the website, it's at the top right-hand corner of every single page. This is an example of what the current volunteer opportunities are for the community center. So you can see there's quite a wide variety. I don't even think this encapsulates everything, but quite a wide variety of different ways. You can click on each one of those opportunities and get more details. You can create a profile so that you are notified when there's like new youth opportunities. And so this is a great opportunity to get more involved and use this platform if you are so inclined. Mountain View Community Center is a community-based nonprofit organization. We are almost exclusively privately funded. So July 1st is the start of our fiscal year, and at July 1st, I have over $600,000 to raise to continue to run our programs. So I always do a pitch, make sure that everybody knows that we run on the generosity of our neighbors. And so plenty of opportunities to donate, lots of different ways to donate, but just always make it a point to mention that when I'm out in the community, because sometimes it's not clear exactly, what kind of, how we fundraise and how our support comes. And like I said, almost 100% privately funded. Here's some links that I mentioned. So again, lots of different ways to get involved. Would recommend if you're on social media, we're pretty active on social media, so you'll get lots of updates as far as upcoming opportunities to volunteer and programs and things like that just by following our page. And this is our amazing team. So we are, all of us, we just celebrated, everybody's been here for a year, which is phenomenal. So we've got a great team of people that really love to serve neighbors and build community. So that's all of us if there's any specific area at which you would like to get more involved. And that concludes my presentation. So,
Does anyone have any questions for Jesse or comments? Councilmember Whalen?
Well, just a comment. Done a marvelous job since COVID.
thank you.
And I've followed it quite a bit and so forth. Congratulations. But we look for even more in the future. And I'm sure you're up to it. So thank you.
Thanks.
Well, I don't think it's a secret that I'm a huge supporter of Mountain View. So if you have not been to, I guess if you want to just start by going to one of their events to see how it works, and if you even have like an hour sometimes that is beneficial to them. I was just having a conversation the other day about why I donate so much of my time and resources to Mountain View. And it's not only because of what Jesse and her crew do, but it's how they treat their volunteers too. And I think that says a lot about an organization that has respect and values their volunteers the way that Mountain View does. So I love summer camp. It is exhausting, but it is fun. And even if you can just do one day, I was kind of excited to see the shortened hours because it is exhausting. And my son has volunteered at camp there, and he comes home exhausted. So, and again, we have as a city done the dinner. I think last time we just served, so someone else cooked it, and we just came in and served. And so next time we do that, which will probably be in the fall, I'll make sure you all are aware of that as well. So thank you for everything you do, Jesse, and I appreciate you.
Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for your service.
And one more, Mayor Pro Tem has a comment.
How long have you been doing the Kids Power Packs? Pardon me.
Oh, I think that I uncovered we started in 2013, so a little over 10 years.
Yeah, quite a while as far as I didn't know if you'd had a date. I always thought that was a fantastic program for it. it helps you to realize that there are kids out there that they actually don't want to go home. They don't want to have spring vacation because where am I going to, I won't get breakfast or I won't. Also, the school that my wife teaches, it's the same sort of thing that there are kids that don't like, Thanksgiving weekend because, oh my gosh, what am I going to, school feeds me, what am I going to do? So it's neat to have programs like that.
One more quick plug. Correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of times or sometimes like with the backpacks and other things, you guys just do an Amazon wish list. And you can conveniently go on and order and have it shipped directly to Mountain View.
Yes. So the website
get any
right
easier.
now is all the information for the back to school event is up to date.
Perfect.
And that includes an Amazon link for ease.
Councilmember Hall, did I see your hand?
Yeah, and you will have another bin over there.
I believe so. I think they're delivering like the 8th or 9th of July.
Stocking up.
Yeah.
And I have to say too, I've seen young families, I've seen seniors that you've helped, especially during the COVID. They would come by. I can't tell you how much it made a difference to them. How much it made a difference to me to be able to help with that.
Yeah, we had a drive-through at City Hall, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
you
was
guys
part of
have
that.
always been willing to be supportive, and we've greatly appreciated that.
And you did it fast, and we had to do it quickly. And
Yeah.
it had to be all put together as quickly as possible, and it worked. We got it out there.
All right. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to our next item, which is a public hearing. Director Madden, I put the public hearing sheet back just in case someone else walked in. Ms. Whalen, did you want to sign up for the public hearing? No, okay. So I'm going to just go through formality really quick here. So the next item before council is a public hearing for the 6-year transportation improvement plan. I will open up the public hearing at 7:37 p.m. to take public comment on the 6-year transportation improvement plan. Seeing that we have received all comments, I will close the meeting at 7:38 p.m. So council, moving on to our first item of 4 this evening. The first one's on page 45 of your packet. It is resolution 24-1972 for the 6-year transportation plan. I'll turn the floor over to Director Madden, and then following his review, I will need a motion to open up the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The item before you tonight is the resolution to adopt the 6-year TIP. This was presented last Monday in some detail, but just as a reminder, state law requires that each city and municipality adopt a TIP yearly. One of the changes that we've done in the last year is we went through and we incorporated updated cost estimates for all of our projects. We also went through and pulled any information that we could receive from other cost development exercises that the city undertook over the last year, such as storm CIP projects. Those rates have all been updated. And so at this time, we feel the TIP is in a very good place. That said, I would also like to have a map to accompany this TIP next year as we get a GIS coordinator on board and can help develop some of those maps. At this time, I would like to go over the recommended action, move to approve Resolution 24-1972, adopting the 2030 6-year Transportation Improvement Program. Are there any questions or?
Councilmember Peretti.
I move to approve Resolution 24-1972, adopting the 2025 to 2030 6-year Transportation Improvement Program.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve Resolution 24-1972, adopting the 2025 to 2030 6-year Transportation Improvement Program. Councilmember Peretti, did you want to speak to your motion?
Thank you. appreciate the information that you provided on here and the opportunity we had at the last meeting or so to go over that. When there are different federal programs that may come aboard during the tenure of a program like this, does this get then updated with those type of things as we go out for grants and different things through that process? I don't know if that's an annual process we go through and come back, or as we update the TIP.
Very good question. So we have the opportunity yearly to update the TIP, but we also, council has the opportunity at any time to incorporate additional findings into the TIP, which we could then resubmit as an updated packet for the 2030.
And then I also appreciate your comments about a map, because I also agree with our public comments. It would be helpful, and even if we could have something even on this as it starts, in the future, whatever, to get a map to kind of show. Although we may be familiar with our roads and everything, it's really helpful to see that in one format. Yeah.
Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your second?
Thank you, Mayor. And in part with that, and in part with what we have here, as we move along each time, we receive some funding potentially for different areas. We're informed about that. We have changes that could take place, additions, maybe even deletions. We're informed about that through this 5-year process that we have. It's very transparent. It's very informative, and I appreciate just going through the information, checking previous years to see what disappeared and what came up. And I find that to be very changes that take place. So it's easy to follow, and I appreciate knowing about it.
Any other questions, comments, concerns from council? Mayor Pro Tem?
I should just have a bell or something. Thank you. I love the comprehensive nature of this. It was really easy to go through. And of course, it's getting through, because there's so much that, the city wants to do or needs to do. Do you have some grants that you're currently kind of considering going after to make it possible, make it easier to go for some of these projects?
Yes, we do. We have.
Because I know you list a lot of grant opportunities, but are there specific ones that you're looking at right now?
TIB grants.
Yes, yeah.
Transportation Improvement Board, yes.
So that's is it just through the Transportation Board, or maybe I'm misunderstanding?
TIB it's an organization that issues grant funding for road projects, and they are just very easy to work with, I will say, and they have been a wonderful funding partner for the city for, I believe, over a decade.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay. So it was moved by Councilmember Peretti and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve Resolution 24-1972, adopting the 2025 to 2030 6-year Transportation Improvement Program. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Moving on to our next item this evening, it is on page 61 of your packet. It is Resolution 24-1973 for the Traffic Calming Program. Once again, I'll turn the floor over to Director Madden, and then I'll need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The item tonight before you for resolution is a formal adoption of the Traffic Calming Program for the City of Milton. We've had a great deal of discussion about traffic calming over the last 2-3 years, and I'm sure before that also. And I felt that this was a program that needed formal adoption for future employees and future directors, so they could pick up this program, they could quickly understand what has been done to date, and then what potential treatment options are. It also is, I feel, a resource for the public to understand and have some insight into the city's process. When they issue a concern, how are those concerns process through Public Works, through PD, through consultants, and I feel like this program informs them on what next steps will be when a concern is issued. And for those reasons, recommended action is to move to approve the resolution 24-1973 adopting the traffic calming program for the city of Milton.
Councilmember Whalen? Oh, Councilmember Cedar. I'm getting,
I think you had your hand up before me.
okay, Councilmember Cedar.
I move to approve Resolution 24-1973, adopting the traffic calming program for the city of Milton.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve Resolution 24-1973, adopting the traffic calming program for the city of Milton. Councilmember Cedar, did you have a comment?
Yep, just make a brief comment. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Director Madden, for bringing this forward and for all the work that you put into this. I think it's been a longer road than I had maybe hoped to get to where we are, but I think that your diligence in getting us here is commendable. And I think this actually provides a great framework for us, similar to some of the other communities that have done this in Washington State and had great success in slowing speeds on their neighborhood roads. This also, in my opinion, gives us a good objective measure when we speak to community members about, whether a speed bump or a roundabout or a narrower road is going to be beneficial. This is the framework we can use to say, look, we've gone through the process and these are proven measures to make our streets safer and slower. So I'm very happy to see this moving forward tonight. Thanks.
Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your second?
I greatly appreciate this. Now I'm going to pick out an example or two. We have a speed indicator light on Milton Way, a speed indicator sign on Milton Way, which when it was originally planned, where it was originally planned, the accuracy of it was somewhat contested. It just didn't read the cars in order because of the high on the hill. Now we've got the sign with the speed limit on it and a thank you. And people pay a lot of attention to it. Not everybody, but that's small movements towards traffic calming. Just keep us what advised of what we see the plan, but when something starts to be executed, just bring it back and keep us encouraged about how productive this can be and will be if we stay supportive of it. And knowing more about what's happening will help to do that. We talk about bike lanes, we talk about a whole lot of other things in here, and you're not asking our permission. You have the authority, but help us just keep abreast of what's happening. And that's all I ask for in this program.
Thank you, Councilmember Boylan. Any other questions or comments? Mayor Potem?
No, I was just going to, what is said already is, yeah, it is a great framework. It gives us a place to start and objective places to start. And I like that, definitely that it's done in such a way that people can come in the future and still pick up and run with it. It gives them a place to start.
Any other comments? Okay. It is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Whalen to approve Resolution 24-1973, adopting the traffic calming program for the city of Milton. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Moving on to our next item this evening. It's on page 97 of your packet. It is Ordinance 2086-24 regarding electric utility rates. I'll pass the floor back over to Director Madden, and then I will need a motion to open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The item before you tonight is a continuation of an item that we discussed on June 10th. The current electric rate structure is sunsetting, and so this proposal is to base increases on CPI, excuse me. For this current year, that increase would be 4.6. I would like to note that one change has been made based on council feedback, and that is to create a maximum of what CPI could be, and that is 7%, which may seem quite excessive. But looking at the CPI for the Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue area, 4.6 is the average. But if you look at just electric, which I would encourage everyone to take a look at, it is 2015 was 4.9, then 5.1, then we had a couple of low years. In 2023, that increase was actually 7.4. And there are a lot of changes coming to the electric utility industry. Those changes are going to bring a lot of cost. And so for that reason, we felt a 7% increase cap, not to exceed without council approval, was justified. But I'm happy to have any further discussion on that. Council also requested that we take a look at potential 5-year costs for Bonneville and BPA wholesale power. That is a little bit more of a challenge. BPA is currently running through their rate exercise for the next 20 years of contracts. Those rates will be coming in 2028, and so they're in negotiations right now with all of the power utilities as they negotiate these rates and potential increases. They're also restructuring the way that they charge rates, and so it is difficult to have a predictive measure about what rates will be 5 years from now at this time. I was able to pull rates from adjacent utilities. Just Seattle in general, the average rate this year per kilowatt hour for residential is 13.5 cents per kilowatt hour. City of Milton is currently at 0.0989 or 9 cents, 10 cents rounded up per kilowatt hour. This increase would get us to, the 4.6 increase would get us to 10 cents per kilowatt hour, which is still on the low end of the regional average. Puget Sound Energy is currently at 13 cents a kilowatt hour. TPU is at 10% or 10 cents a kilowatt hour. Seattle City Light is 14 cents a kilowatt hour. Penn Light is currently 11. And then Snohomish PUD is 12 cents a kilowatt hour. That might seem like we're all very close, but another discrepancy or another cost that is baked into these is the base rate. Milton's current base rate is $10.58. With this increase, it would be $11.07. And if you compare that to TPU, which is the one rate that's below ours, they're at $25.30 just for a base rate. And so if you take into account base rate and then kilowatt hour charges, Milton will still have the lowest power cost for the region. For those reasons, the recommended action at this time is move to approve ordinance 2086-24, electric utility rate increase.
Councilmember Whalen?
Move to approve ordinance 2086-24, electric utility rate increase.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker to approve ordinance 2086-24, electric utility rate increase. Councilmember Whalen, did you want to speak to your motion?
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation. We'll be advised of what the increases are every year.
Correct.
You know, it's not like we're hiding away from responsibility. We're still going to review it and see how it moves. But if it moves, like you say, it keeps us with a low cost end of the scale around us. If that's possible, that's welcome. But don't be afraid to spend or ask for monies that are definitely needed for the utility. If something comes up in a mid-year or a forecast in the future because some supplier or some other entity that we have to deal with the electrical, we'll see that information. So I'm comfortable with using, as we have been in many other areas, CPI as the base number to increase by. You know, I find it in line with most everything else we do. And most everything else we do, I believe we see the logic and the necessity and the willingness to support them. So I like the programs, I like the way it's going, and thank you for the in-depth information behind these numbers.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to speak to your second?
Yes, yes, I agree that the CPI does help. It also gives us a starting point and makes it easy to explain what the base rate, where it's coming from. It's coming to the point where we're able to, have the base rate that we do have. As long as that base rate helps support capital projects, future capital projects, other than, not just the maintenance and anticipated expenses, but also, helps us, to do those capital projects that we want to do in the next year, 2 years, 5 years. And I feel that this does this, and I can tell that you put a lot of work into this. Will you be able to, on each of the times that this is presented, also let us know what the other what the other markets are doing, what they're charging, just so we know too?
Yes, I should be able to pull that information and
Okay.
present it back to council on a yearly basis.
Okay. I mean, I just think it helped just to, and I know you'll probably do that anyway to help make
Mhm.
sure that we're in line with where we should be, but I think that's also helpful, gives us that litmus test that we're charging what we should.
Mhm. Very good.
And also, and the thought also just occurred to me, also lets us know that rather than maybe selling the electrical utility to another entity because we don't want to do it anymore, if it is actually being cost effective to the citizens of Milton and to the city, then I think we should keep it.
Mhm.
And if this rate comparison, keeps up, then I think that just supports that we should keep the electric utility under the auspices of the city.
Any other comments or questions? Councilmember White?
I'm in general agreement that that we need some way of keeping up with the costs and inflation and the improvements that need to be done. What I don't like about this agreement is it takes all the oversight away from the council. Once this is passed, no increase is going to need to be reviewed by the council into the future. And I don't agree with that. So I can't support this.
So just to add a note, if I understand it correctly, it would come to council if CPI went over 7%.
Correct, for a council decision. But I would be happy to update council on yearly on what a potential increase would be, even if it's under that 7% cap.
And we'll know that at budget season too, because it goes on our wage scale as well. Before I let you go again, Councilmember Wayland, any other comments? Okay.
Can I have to ask, can you talk to your microphone and not turn to the mayor? I'm sorry, it's just my hearing.
I'm sorry, this is not the first time, is it?
Thank you for understanding. And also, just in a comment, it's expected that we'll know what the CPI or what the increase is going to be every year. We're going to see that. We have an opportunity to question if it gets too high towards this high side or if it's on the low side. I mean, that's what it's going to be. But we'll have that information provided to us every year. And I think that gives us the opportunity to discuss it to any extent that we want. It's not like that number is hidden from us. Correct?
Correct. And as the mayor indicated, the CPI will be identified on wage scales through the budgeting process.
Yeah. No,
Councilmember-
it's
I'm sorry.
comfortable.
Sorry, Councilmember, Whalen, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just saying, this is comfortable.
Councilmember Peretti?
So without adopting a baseline CPI, my understanding of doing rate studies and rate changes is quite costly because you have to do a rate study on that. Not thinking we're never going to raise rates, we have to raise rates. Adopting a CPI gives you a baseline of something at that point that we revisit every year anyway, and not doing something like this. You're spending a lot more money to our citizens of doing rate studies then all the time. Is that correct thinking?
That is correct. $30,000 to $60,000 for a comprehensive rate study that looks at your capital improvement projects is expected.
Right. So
So-
something like this makes sense, you know, because it's a baseline. And as long as I've been around, this has come to council every year when we do rate changes, and we've adopted CPI on our other utilities. We still get the feedback every year of where we're at. Okay, I fully support this.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, it is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It has been moved by Councilmember Whalen and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Whitaker to approve ordinance 2086-24, electric utility rate increase. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Carried 6-1. Council, moving on to our last item this evening, it is the added, I don't have a page number because it is the added one, 9D, that we added at the beginning of the meeting. Director Simpson is no longer with the City of Milton as of today, and I would like to have council's blessing to bring previous Finance Director Michelle Roback back as the interim Finance Director. If I could get a motion. Councilmember Cedar?
Move to ratify Michelle Roebuck in the position of interim finance director.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Hall to ratify Michelle Roebuck in the position of interim Finance Director. Councilmember Cedar, did you want to speak to your motion?
I would just say I think we're fortunate to have her back and available. It's quite a lucky thing, so it's great.
Councilmember Hall?
Same thing. We know she can do it. She's been here, understands the challenges. And I personally have full confidence.
Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Whalen?
Thank you, Mayor. The other side is this is a very comfortable change. We all know Michelle. It's a very comfortable change. It'll be very comfortable during the period of time where, as interim, that she still has the opportunity in the future to move on, and we would expect that and so forth. So using the term as the interim, we know that there's a finite time. And we also know that her dedication to us in the past has helped us move through some finite times for her good grace of her position. So I'm very pleased with this opportunity.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, it is an action item. Are there any comments from the audience? Okay. It has been moved by Councilmember Cedar and seconded by Councilmember Hall to ratify Michelle Roebuck in the position of interim Finance Director. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried 7-0. Oh, he's not. Okay. What time? Okay. Can I propose so we have an executive session coming up, but our attorney will not be ready for about 10 more minutes. So can I propose that we skip over the executive session, do council reports, director reports? Hopefully that will stall a little bit, and then we can go into executive session. Is there any opposition? Okay. Okay. So we're going to skip over item, I believe it's 10 right now, and we'll move on to council reports. Council member, I can't remember which way I started last time, but how about we start with Council member Whalen?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm usually not, I'm only first out of 7 times.
I thought I did I do you, I'll start with Whitaker then. I thought I just did Whitaker last time, I apologize. How about we go with Mayor Pro Tem?
That works for me. The only thing I have is that I helped out with, I don't know why I'm crazy. I helped at the field day that was at Mountain View Elementary School. And actually it was really, it was fun, and it's hilarious how those kids will just, once they know that it's gonna close soon, they come back. Like, boom, you just ran through, they're right back, ready to go again. They're like a puppy. But it's funny just to be able to do that thing, something like that for kids, just something as simple as that, and you being there, I think they recognize that they don't know you, you don't know them, but you're here for me. And they love that. And it's, I think I appreciate that. I love that. It helps me also in a way, reconnect even with my kids, because it helps me remember what they were like at that age, and they love that stuff too.
If you liked Field Day, you should definitely look at Mountain View's summer camp.
Yeah,
Just wanna
you
plug
know
that.
where else they're doing it? Somebody else is doing another summer camp too. Actually, my daughter's helping with them, but no, I would look into that.
And I didn't say it when Jesse was here, but their volunteer platform on their website is probably the easiest I've ever used. It is just so simple. You just log in, you sign up for what you want, they send you a reminder, and you're done. So.
Yeah, and actually, because I did volunteer there a few years ago, so I get emails all the time about their different programs.
Yeah. So great. Councilmember White.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councilmember Peretti.
I want to thank the chief for the access of police. I'm seeing police work on Milton Way pulling cars over, and I see it a lot, and I really appreciate that, because I think I've noticed a change just because I'm up on Milton Way quite a bit in that activity, and so I just appreciate seeing that.
Councilmember Cedar.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councilmember Strader.
Good night.
Councilmember Hall.
Just one question. Is there a projection of when we're going to have all of our bars in front of the stop signs painted? Because they faded. I keep wondering why people are not even stopping anymore. They're just going through them. I mean, that kind of makes it a little more prominent, maybe if we could have our city painted.
Yes, and most of those stop bars, they're actually thermoplastic. And so we apply that material in-house. So our team of Public Works individuals does that work, and we will schedule that midsummer, towards late summer. And then I did receive last Thursday an update from Pierce County. That's who we contract with to do all of our street striping. And they indicated weather dependent, so they gave themselves a bit of an out, but into the month, end of June, to stripe the city.
Yeah, I noticed that thermoplastic had come completely off of the one that's right out here. It peeled off.
Okay.
Somebody threw it on the curb. So, over time, they age.
Very good, thank you.
Councilmember Whalen.
Thank you, Mayor. Something to mention about the community park. The upper field, I think, has been reseeded, graded, reseeded. It looks good. It looks good. And as far as I could see, and I see that park quite a bit, it was respected. I hadn't seen anybody on the field since they did the work and looped it off. Just a comment about our community building across the street from the park. There's a water pump in there and so forth. Whoever painted the water pipe to it looks great. It's just bright blue. I mean, it shows it's a positive image for the water department. Small little thing, but a positive image. Back to the community park. Parking, and we've all for years and years have talked about parking, curb gutter, sidewalk, drainage, and so forth. There was an event this week, a business down on the corner of 11th and across the street from the coffee shop. There was bumper-to-bumper parking along Oak, all the way up to the parking lot, the one by the bathrooms, and some parking in there. Very successful event for the business owner. I want to see that happen all over the city. But that was another example of, so that much parking, you had about a lane and a quarter up and down. And it worked out fine. People are very careful about it and so forth, but it just shows the need again for parking. And signs. On 15th, Oak and 15th, and I know another place, some contractor who wants to buy everybody's property in the city of Milton has put a sign about 12 feet off the ground on our utility pole. So if I would suggest that a reminder possibly to the Public Works Department that if you see this and you're in a vehicle that can reach it, remove it. And they've popped up. I don't know who has seen them and so forth. Just one of those that they're there, if they're in there with truck and so forth, just take them down. That's about it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Hall?
Yeah, there's some signs that have been put up on poles on 23rd and Emerald on the east side and the west side, kitty corner. And they're so high you can't take them down. You're gonna have to have a truck to do it.
Councilmember Hall, did you mean 19th or 23rd?
20,
I think they're on.
I'm sorry, you're right, 19th. You're right, 19th.
I think they're the same signs that Councilmember Whalen's referring to on a different street, but same signs.
Yeah, just keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Just
It's that
remind-
time of year.
Moving on to director reports, Planning Manager Stalnecker.
Thank you. Interesting enough, Director Madden and I today were discussing doing a sign sweep in some areas that we knew there were some signs. And because of the recent changes to the sign code, it's very, makes it a lot easier for us and the crews to feel comfortable to do that kind of stuff. So we will do that. Tied to that, we did update, so the website, we used to be if you wanted to turn in a code compliance, you had to kind of fill it out and email it. And so I didn't realize until the mayor was showing me that we could do an actual, like you just type in a form and hit submit. And so we have updated the website that if you do see anything, or if you have a concern, you just go to that complaint, where it used to be the complaint PDF, it's now just a fillable submittal right there. You put in the address, you put in what's the issue, if you can upload if you happen to have a picture. It has an option to put your information. We don't require anyone to put their complaint information. That way we don't have to worry about that because some people don't want to. You just hit submit and it goes to the permit tech and she starts the process. So feel free if you see something, whether it's a sign on a pole or something else, you just put it in right away. It comes right to us and we start the process. I know there's a few open complaints that have been brought to us by members of council. We are working on those and we should have some resolution in the next couple of weeks. And then more exciting, I wanted to share that the Planning Commission at their meeting last week did recommend the bulk of the 2024 comprehensive plan update to move to council. And they will start working on the related zoning code updates that need to go with that next month. So a couple of things to kind of keep you informed as we deal with the comprehensive plan. Staff will be presenting it's a 2-volume draft on July 8th at the study session to council. And then also just to kind of keep in mind ahead of time, it's different than when we bring you a code update, it's pretty close to being final because it's in an ordinance format, it's going in. With this document, it's a large document, it's covering so many different issues, and we have such a deadline that it is sort of an evolving document. So there will be things that, like, the TIP got updated or got approved, so we'll make sure that all the transportation numbers match that. We will not, from staff's we don't anticipate, we're not going to be changing anything that's policy, direction, goals that the Planning Commission approved, but there may be technical proofreading, number updates and stuff. And we'll make you aware if we do that as we go. So just letting you know, it's a different mindset because unfortunately, like I said, between the timeline that we have, because it does have to be adopted by the end of 2024, but as well as it's just a different type of document. So it will come to the council on July 8th for an initial going through everything. Council will also have an opportunity to hold a public hearing. Our intent was to actually hold that public hearing very early. We could even do it the following meeting, just so that you're hearing the public. I don't anticipate us adopting it until probably mid to late November, early December. But because we've been working on it, it would be good, I think, for you to hear any public input actually early, so that that could influence any future discussions or stuff that you would like staff to look on. So that was our thinking on that part. And then obviously council has the opportunity to provide input as you review it and you look at it. Because this is supposed to be the top view of what you want the 20-year vision for the city to do. And again, that's the phase 1. Planning Commission starts in July, working on phase 2, which is updating the zones and different things that relate to what the vision is in that comp plan. So again, and feel free to, as you process that, reach out to me. I did want to clarify or at least expand. I know some of you, if not all of you, got some public input from at least one resident. So I want to just give a background of which I think was a very successful public engagement that we have had so far. So when the Planning Commission and staff and framework were looking at like the long-term map to simplify, is there any changes we think between what's currently commercial, what's currently residential, that kind of stuff. There were some areas that between the various groups we had proposed to change. And so staff sent letters to all of those properties saying, hey, your property is looking at being changed. This is what it currently is, kind of what that means, what we're thinking to change it to, what that means. And from that, we had some residents who didn't respond at all. We had some that said, this is great, thank you. And then we had some who said, wait a minute, we don't want that change. And so one of those areas is between 70th and Pacific Avenue and south of Porter. I think I'm doing that right. So when you look at what's there, and this is what staff and framework was looking at, it's a lot of houses, and yet it was designated and zoned business. And our thought was, well, it's a bunch of houses, and it kind of has access to Pacific, but a lot of the access is off of 70th. Our thinking was, it's houses, that makes more sense just to keep it houses. The residents, and a pretty good number, reached out and said, no, we know it's business commercial, and we want to keep it that way, that they had long-term plans to do that. And so they came to the public hearing, they wrote letters, they came to the next meeting, and so the Planning Commission did respond to that, and there's a few new designations than what we currently have, and there's one that's sort of going to be kind of more of it's a new term, but the idea is that it's sort of going to be a mixed, an opportunity for some mixed use between some residential and some commercial. It's currently called community center. I'm sorry. What? Yeah, neighborhood center. Thank you. And so that's going to be the designation. It will have a new zone as well that isn't in our current zoning. So we told all of the community members that were present that we will, since that area is such a unique area and the zone that we're proposing doesn't really have a current definition, that we will reach out to them and hold a specific kind of neighborhood outreach with them to kind of get a feel of if what we're thinking meshes with what they're looking at, as well as looking at what the roads allow and stuff. So I believe all of them are happy that we listened and that I think it's in the direction that they want to go. And like I said, we will reach out to them for further kind of as we get to that second half, reach out to them and say, this is what we're thinking. Does that mesh with what some of their plans were? So I'm very happy to know that we were able to reach them and they were able to be engaged. And we got some compliments back on how the planning commission was run and how they felt heard and stuff. So just want to let everybody know that if you got those emails, that is where we're at, and that will be reflected in the draft that comes to you. There is a couple, like I said, there's a few other things that staff may bring and say as suggestions that either came out of conversations or stuff, but the bulk of it has gonna move on and become yours. So thank you.
Director Madden,
No additional comments?
Chief?
No, make it quick.
Yeah.
If you weren't aware, I think I've made most of you aware, we did have a marijuana warrant that was served today with our small cities SWAT team. And we collected 1,030 plants. We estimated value at $250,000. We seized $40,000 worth of grow equipment. We are red tagging the home and cutting power tomorrow. So if you want to look later, I've got some pictures here. It went well, and we were able to execute that, and we're going to be working on seizing the home. And so we'll go from there. And then unexpectedly, a little bit rushed, Assistant Chief Murray is tenured his retirement. He thought he was going to be sticking around longer, but DRS informed him if he didn't retire by the end of June, he would not get the CPI for 2 years. And he would miss out on the CPI at the end of the month if he hadn't retired. So all of a sudden, he's put in his 2 weeks. And so I've been looking at a couple of internal candidates in the police department. And so stand by for the next assistant chief.
Wow. The only thing I have to add before we go on executive session is I know summer is a busy month for everyone for traveling and camping. So if you are going to be absent from a council meeting between now and September, if you could email me or Tricia, just so we've got a couple people's schedules. We just want to verify we're going to have quorum on certain issues. So if you have your summer schedule, if you could just email that would be wonderful. So it is 8:24, I think. And the city council will now go into executive session regarding litigation that the agency reasonably believes may be commenced by or against the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in official capacity per RCW 42-30-1101II. I do want to note that our legal will be present and attending virtually. I do expect the meeting to last approximately 20 minutes. When we return, there'll be no action taken, and we will adjourn the meeting. I know. Okay, so the executive session is concluded and adjourned at 8:48 PM. Seeing that all items on our agenda have been concluded this evening, I will call for a motion to adjourn. Okay, it's been moved and second. Is there any objection? Wonderful. We adjourn at 8:48 PM.